You're watching the Tesla Life, live with your host, Mark Coughlin!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 323. Here we are, we're well into September now. We're 6 days in. Unbelievable. And Patrick, those announcements at the beginning, I'm beginning to think I'm at a WWE fight like that. But we certainly appreciate that. So thanks very much. We could have done one
honoring Mr. Barker. Mark Coughlin, come on
down. Oh, and hello to Hockey Day, who's in the hospital for nothing serious. Well, hello, Hockey Day. Hope you get better soon.
Glad you could join us.
Let's move on to the first story and the biggest story.
Oh,
of course. I'm sorry. Let's introduce our panelists. Mr. Patrick Connor joins us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
Hello, I am good. It's fall. This is awesome. The solar panels are back on. This is the time of year where we don't have to run the AC and we still have sun. Yes, this is great. Making some net positive days. Good times.
There you go.
And not to forget Mr. Casey Green from the central Atlantic coast. How are you today, sir?
Right. I've got some things moving and shaking, and when everything is solidified, I can talk about it.
Oh, he's going to be mysterious, Casey, today. Okay.
I have a Tesla service visit coming tomorrow.
Oh, I've got one on the 18th.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is so cool that they have to put the car out in the garage and they'll be here tomorrow. Now, I just had this done a couple weeks ago for the cabin filter replacement.
Mm-hmm.
And then last week I got this notice saying the 12-volt battery needs to be replaced. And I'm like, oh, why couldn't this just have failed a week sooner? And then they could have done it all in one trip. But
exactly.
It's not that bad. So how many other people out there have a 2018 Model 3 and have had to have the battery replaced? I'm curious if mine is early, late, or right in the middle of replacements.
I've got two friends that have had theirs replaced already. One outside of warranty, one got one in warranty, and has just now got one outside of warranty. And so that friend went ahead and went with a lithium replacement. And mine's a Model X, so it doesn't count. But I had one after a span, and then all of a sudden it started going through one a year. So I, at that point, went lithium as well.
Wow.
Derek in the chat room said 1 week ago his went.
All right. Derek and I are in sync there. Yes.
Yeah. And mine, knock on wood, has not gone yet. And
all right, next week for Mark.
I'm over 5 years.
Wow.
Nice. Yes.
Incredible.
Be careful with the lithium batteries. There are some good ones. There's a channel, the guy's name is Engineer with an I, who reviewed one, and I'm not going to say the name, but he trashed it. He was like, this is horrible. I have never seen a worse product than this. It has to have this and this level of control. They have a diode. There is it. It's never going to do what you need. Anybody who's selling this is endangering people. I was just like, whoa, okay, that's a big statement. But
I don't remember the brand, but I did see him tear that apart. It was like literally and figuratively tear it apart.
Right. Yeah. It did not make that product look good. So yeah, do some research if you're going to buy something not recommended by Tesla.
Oh yeah, Tesla won't touch it with a pole because it doesn't have the logo on the side. So my service experience will not be performed by mobile. Once again, my coolant low message is showing on the main screen there, and I don't mean the big screen. I mean the one in front of me. And then a couple of times the car has decided not to charge. I just left it plugged in after resetting the screen, did nothing, and eventually 4 hours later it decided to charge to full. Not 100% full, but where it was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that was because Tesla looked at it or what. Last time it happened, I reset the MCU with the high voltage interlock out, and then within a couple of minutes it started recharging again after I put the interlock back and rebooted one more time. So they said they're going to replace my charge port.
Okay. Yeah, at least you're getting it fixed. I mean, yeah, because that's you don't want that flaky behavior.
No. But I want the coolant fixed, and I need it to charge at home and at superchargers.
As we all. Absolutely.
You don't ever go to superchargers, do you, Casey?
Superchargers.com, baby.
Patrick,
Mr. Supercharger.
He's got his own parking spot at superchargers.
Oh, yes.
There's the Casey parking spot with his logo in it.
Yeah. Just like Tesla's got their own Mexican speedway coming through the border. I've got
right.
Well, let's get on to the big news. And of course, this past Friday, the Highland was introduced in all places. Norway was the first unveiling of the new Project Highland for Model 3, and open to great fanfare. Elon was not in Norway. They had another Tesla exec do the introduction. And of course, through the week, we've seen it being introduced in other countries as well. So this has been an ongoing rollout. But let's talk a little bit about the car itself and some of the changes. One of the early pieces of information came out was that it is going to be basically 50% new parts in the car. So overall,
that's not a tiny change.
No, it's quite a bit of modifications when it comes to the car. The exterior of the car, I guess we could start there, is what you can see from the outside once the camouflage bra has been removed. We've got, of course, the speculated thinner lights, headlights.
Is someone going to share the photo?
Oh,
yeah, Mark was going to.
That's a good idea. Let's go and share this.
It did confirm that the leak that we saw earlier was accurate. Because it had the smaller lights. The fog light has now been moved from a separate component into the same housing.
Yeah,
and yet it's still smaller.
Yeah, and then some of the rear lighting speculation was correct, and some of it was inaccurate. Like the folks claiming a rear light bar, they were wrong. But everybody claiming that it had like a complicated shape was correct.
Yeah, there's the front
headlight.
Yeah, I there's a lot of things. The exterior, I think, looks better, except the light. I don't know. I don't. It's like
I like the light.
It's like it's half closed. I don't know. I don't like the new light.
It's less frog like.
But that's just aesthetics. I mean, that's don't listen to me. I drove a Nissan Leaf for years, so
that would also look frog-like because the Gen Launch Edition Leaf there.
That's the aesthetics are probably the least important aspect of what it can do. So, and I'm not saying it looks bad. I'm just that part, like almost every other exterior improvement, I thought, oh, that looks better. That looks better with that one change. I was like,
yeah,
we all have our opinions.
I drove a Gen 2 Prius.
Yeah, so the exterior of the car, I was disappointed with the fog lights disappearing.
Well, they're still there. They're just in the housing, right? So it's not like they don't have fog lights.
But they're not separate anymore. They're not. They're part of the headlights, right?
Right.
Yeah. Why does that bother you?
I just like the position of the old ones that were down a little bit lower. Gave you a distinct look for the car when it was coming at you if you had both sets of lights on.
I see. Right.
And of course, I always enjoyed those little swoops at the side near the front wheels, the indentations for the air to go through. Obviously, this car is more. It's got a better
coefficient of drag.
And certainly that's going to help with the efficiency of the vehicle, how far it can go.
Brand.
So overall, that's probably a better call to go. It's just, I don't know. I just feel kind of sad that some things are missing or changed. But I guess that's the case with everything, isn't it? Once something does change, you kind of miss some of the older aspects of it. But overall, it's definitely a Tesla Model 3. Like it's not dramatically different on the outside. We got a badging change on the outside of the car. We got the word Tesla now written instead of the T logo
on the back.
Yep.
Right. That's the way Franz has been running his car for a while, with the old Tesla full word logo like they had on the Roadster. So when he had that on there, I was like, oh, that's going to be on the new Roadster for sure. I did not expect to see that come out on the new Model 3. That's a surprise to me. I kind of thought they were reserving that as a Roadster thing.
Yeah, like a higher end thing, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Especially after they ditched it completely on the Cybertruck.
Right.
Yeah. And then while we can tell it looks very similar to the outgoing Model 3, they have made some structural changes to it. It like for instance, at the back of the hood, it kind of swoops up a little bit more. And
right.
As Mark mentioned, the fog light venting is gone. So this new vehicle is 12%, they said, more fuel efficient.
Yeah, 11 to 12% on
I heard 8.
Sorry, okay. 8%. Without changing the motors or the battery.
Right.
All through aerodynamics and new tires.
Now the 8% there is back and forth. I have seen 11 to 12% as well, but of course the mileage that they're presenting on the new car is WLTP. It's not EPA range yet.
Don't use that and think, oh yeah, these are miles, because they're not. I saw that mistake made across the ecosystem.
Yeah, really. Like one person got it wrong and everybody copied them.
and yeah, they were probably technically converted to miles, but those aren't EPA miles. Those you can't say, oh, this one's 420 and mine is 325. No, not at all. Because the European cycle is just, I mean, you can compare car to car. That's what these tests are made for, to compare car to car on the same test. But you can't compare the European Model 3 new to the American outgoing Model 3, which is currently still we'll talk about that later in the show, but still the current Model 3 over here.
Right. They could have at least used the WLTP rating for the current car. If you want to compare, that would be a fair comparison.
Well, I'm sure
before we leave the extra,
you might have already instinctually known, like our 310, 325 is whatever compared to their 400.
Right. Before we leave the exterior, I want to talk about the back. I really like the look of it. We were talking about the logo on there.
Yeah.
The one thing that's one of the big differences is the brake lights are now on the trunk.
Yes.
So when you lift the trunk, they go up.
Yes.
So if you have your hazards on and then you go to get something out of the back, you just
move down.
Now your hazards are flashing in the air. Not at the cars behind you.
To the reflector area down below.
So there are lights down below.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the reflector area.
Good.
Yeah. That's a DOT requirement. You can't have the lights shining in the air without lights lower on the car. But you're right. The entire backlight package goes up with the lid of the trunk, and it's not split like it is today. And of course, there's a different design. There's a different design to it as well.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I like the new look.
That means you've now got 4 pieces of plastic that no longer have to be in perfect alignment with each other. Because you've now just got 2 pieces, one on each side of the car.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. It's probably much easier to build. It looks better. That's a win-win.
Yeah. It's probably a lot better with water intrusion and moisture than the outgoing assembly.
Right.
Maybe
fewer pieces.
Yeah. Definitely. It's
the Bolt had to do it. Any car that has lights on movable bodywork will do it. So like you've got Audis, you've got Porsches. There's a lot of vehicles out there that will have where most cars just have dumb reflectors down below. They'll have active lights. Some of them will use them in concert. Some of them will do like the Tesla and the Audi, and they'll switch, and the Bolt too, and they'll switch it down to the backup lights.
That would have been the good place for the light bar.
Yeah.
If they're putting lights down there anyway, why not make it a cool light bar?
Yep.
And then when they do their song and dance, they can have something going back and forth on the bar.
But like today, I was tailgated severely all day today, and twice the person in front of me was tailgating the person in front of them, and thus needed to slam on the brakes for stuff that didn't require it. And my car is following too close as well, but it's a computer, so it can react appropriately. And the people behind me, once I had to actually just leave my lane to go on a 2-lane road, I had to go into the opposing lane to make sure I didn't lose the unicorn.
Wow.
Yeah. Like you can hear like the tires and the ABS on the car behind me. I was like, oh, poof, the lightning pedal.
Yeah, and luckily it can respond quickly. Lightning pedal saved me recently. I was getting on the freeway. It's 2 lanes that goes down to 1 as you get on, and right as I passed the guy, and when there were 2 lanes, they were going really slow. It's the freeway on ramp. You have to accelerate, and they were doing 25. And so, I mean, I passed them doing 35, 40 as I'm accelerating to get on the freeway. I guess when I passed them, when there's 2 lanes, so it's not like I did a passing lane. I mean, I just was in the faster lane and went past them. They got upset that how dare I pass them. And as it got down to 1 lane, they pulled up right next to me. And they're trying to like jockey it. I'm like, oh, what? No. Step, boom, gone. Yes. Yeah.
I don't have to downshift. Boom.
Yeah, exactly. And just left them in the dust, got into a safe, and then slowed down and did the speed limit. But I did have to punch it to not. I don't know what they were thinking, but they were not nice drivers.
Before we move on to the interior or any other part of the car, Derek asks about the charging port, if there were any changes. And speaking of charging port, let's start with charging port. The reflector cover lid assembly is the same as the outgoing car. And underneath, you'll find the same charge port. In this case, all of these were Type 2 CCS because of the market that they launched in. I don't even think we saw the Chinese one with the GBT / AC and DC GBT. The top speed has been lowered on all the cars because they have new tires. And there's no more performance car on the markets that have launched with the new Model 3.
That is an interesting twist.
Yep, yeah. No performance available at this time. So,
is it at this time or is it ever?
Well, Tesla, they're not going to tell us.
I would never say ever.
Never say never. Okay.
I mean, it would be so easy. It's already got the same long range and standard range motors and battery. That would tell you that it should be able to fit the performance motors and battery just fine.
Yeah. And speaking of the coefficient we were talking about earlier, the new one is 0.219, which is down from the 0.225 of the current Model 3. So it's a little bit more slippery. And as Casey mentioned, that allows them to keep the same battery pack and motors and get, range estimates 5 to 8% greater for the vehicle. So it's a big plus. Just even that small amount is a big player. So very interesting to see that they've done that and they've got that much improvement out of it.
Yeah. So then do we want to do the inside or do we want to do?
Yeah, inside. Let's go to the inside.
So inside, you'll find that there's the same size physically screen housing situation there, the center screen. However, it is 0.4 inches larger. They put a different screen in there, and it's been called more responsive. However, that more responsive is immediately followed up by it's the same MCU and the same autopilot hardware for computer as the Model Y. So, in my mind, what is more responsive referring to? Because you can't get a faster speed out of the same computer unless somebody has speculated different refresh rate. That is possible. But what I think is that perhaps just the touchscreen is more sensitive to your touch because it shouldn't be any faster or anything than the outgoing Ryzen CPU.
Right, but it just has lower latency of getting that signal to the computer to do whatever.
Right. Yeah, but the display should be the same unless, like the person suggested, the refresh rate is higher. But I don't see, from a company that loves to cut costs, that doesn't seem like anything they would want to do to spec a faster screen because that costs more money. Unless they need it for something that's coming up in the future.
Yeah. But that's
well, hey, if you want to play games on it, you got to have a decent screen, man.
Right. But it's a computer, so we're missing the RAM and we're missing the graphics card that you find on the Palladium cars.
And good segue. Good segue. Speaking about a screen, there's now another screen in the car, and it's a small screen for the back seat that is attached to the back of the console. So, and we've seen that from some third-party suppliers that came up with that some time ago. Yeah, that they had offered that ability, and it gave some rudimentary controls to the back seat, such as the ability to the current the Highland gives you the ability to change the infotainment system, so you can skip songs, listen to different songs. You can actually browse YouTube and things of that nature right through it, and it gives you the ability to one more thing, which is just
move the passenger seat.
There you go. You can move the passenger seat. So
and control your air conditioner, like
wait, the front passenger seat?
Yeah.
What? I hope only if there's nobody in it.
On the Model X, with the pretty seats. So the passenger seat, if you moved it forward in the middle too far, it would move the front passenger seat forward, so that everybody could get easily in and out of the back seat.
Right.
But now you can do it on demand on the screen.
and the third party had that ability too. That was something that they had offered in there. So it just makes sense that that the OEM version was going to do that as well. But very cool. And of course, inside you've got, with those entertainment systems, you also have two Bluetooths that you can independently listen to a headset or something and tune in two different sets of audio.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Which is great for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now you have two subwoofers that are different sizes.
That's right.
Yeah. Perforated seats with cooled front seats. And the middle rear seat is no longer heated, it doesn't look like. So it looks like you get 4 heated and 2 cooled.
Man, that fifth guy is going to freeze his butt off.
Well, he's got the screen right in his lap.
I'm sure if the other 2 seats are heated, a little bit comes over there. So why would they perforate the rear seats if they can't be?
Derek suggested if there's no one in the front seat. I saw my friend Cal Connor. He pushed the button and there was a nice German guy in the seat, and it moved. And the guy said, "Whoa!" So.
So you can do it even if someone's sitting there. That seems like a bug.
Perforation, I believe, Patrick, is just for looks. It matches the front seats.
Right. Same as on my Model X. All 7 seats perf, but only 2 have cooling.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess matching is nice. I've never really thought, ooh, perforation, that looks cool.
The sportier cars back in the day had it. Like Acura would always, we've got perforated seats, even before they had cooled seats.
I just think that perforated seats are easier to break. Like
break, harder to clean.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well,
harder to clean.
Seat can be solid, so I can clean them easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get stuff down in those little holes.
That's not a big win for me, but it's design
cohesion though.
Different strokes, different folks. I understand.
Yeah.
Another thing about the speaker system, the 2 subwoofers now also there's 17 speakers over 14 speakers, so that's a change.
Yep.
That of course is for the long range. Then
with the material changes, my understanding is that it sounds better just because there's not as much reverberation off of the hard plastics. They've actually thought about where the sound waves hit and make sure there's nice materials there for that.
Yeah, they've always had a top-notch sound team. And then speaking of that, they've also went for Mark's car and Patrick's first car have no acoustic glass. But the current car, it had the windshield and the 2 front windows are acoustic. But the new car, all the windows are acoustic, so that will also help with the sound quality as well.
Yeah. And they also specially chose the covering materials on the inside of the car specifically to mask road noise. Mm-hmm. So they were looking at not only the sound quality of the system in the car, but also what kind of noises are coming in from the outside and what kind of materials can we use on the door panels and other places that will deaden that sound.
Yep. And no yoke, but a modified version of the new Palladium wheel the first part that people will like is the center pad with the airbag is a horn.
Yes, that's as it should have been the whole time. I'm glad they learned their lesson.
What I haven't seen is if anybody tested palming the right-hand side, just to see if, it doesn't matter what Tesla you're in, if you go like this, if that will still pump the horn on the new car. And then where the horn button, like if you were, the part that people were complaining about, I don't want to have to hunt for the button. Well, that is now a video button, which pops up the rear camera and also makes it go away.
There was speculation on that. Some people were saying it might be a screenshot for you to save a screenshot from the external cameras, but
it's not.
It's not. Yeah.
Also, since it's got the turn signal buttons, because it is stockless, when you push the turn signal buttons, they feel like buttons, and they don't just shake the whole wheel like they do on the Palladium cars. And speaking of buttons, the egress buttons, the door poppers, they are physical moving buttons, unlike on the Palladium cars where they are capacitive.
Yeah. And if you move back into cabin, the back trunk is actually a little bit larger than the current one. So the current car has about 560 liters of space, and the larger rear trunk has 594. So just up a little bit.
Do that?
I don't know. Especially when they added another subwoofer, I imagine, back there. Yeah. So I don't know where they got the extra space. But that also may become part of the reason of the that we expect. We haven't seen this ourselves, but the gigacastings. We expect that the Model 3 now, similar to the Y, will have a gigacast for the front and the back, so that all those extra parts and rivets from the original Model 3 will have gone away into a single cast.
Yeah, and Patrick and I will see that perhaps even if it's not using a mega cast, it could still be using that multi-piece stitched together. You could just do 4 castings like the original Model Y. Rear tub was 2 pieces, or you could just do a back and a front.
Right. Yeah, even 4 is better than 70.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Less parts to worry about and easier to line them all up. One thing that Monroe always talks about that Tesla rarely mentions is the stack up. So as you've got different layers, your percent error is getting stacking up. It's getting worse as you go from the inside to the outside layer.
And next, talk a little bit about tires. I guess that should have been done in the exterior, but the tires, there's 2 new designs for rims that come with the vehicle. Just little changes here and there. It's not. There is some on the 19-inch. There's some sort of black plastic inserts that go around the outside of the rim, and kind of make the tire look a little bit wider than it actually is because of the black can't be seen through as easy. The tires themselves, brand new tires that come with the vehicles, and again, designed for road noise. So specifically, they were trying to, again, dampen road noise that comes from the tires. So it obviously is something that was bothering them, or thought that there could be some improvement if they were to work on it. So, and let's face it, with the Model 3 coming out when it did, just over 5 years ago, Tesla's learned a lot of things with approximately 2 million of those vehicles on the road. There's a number of things that they've been able to pick up from customer complaints or customer suggestions or the data that's collected from those cars.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we just talked about all the noise dampening they've done. So if they were just put loud tires on, that would defeat all the purpose of that. And when you don't have a big ICE engine in there making a noise to cover all those things, you hear a lot more of the road noise and other things. So it makes sense that they would go for some quiet tires.
These do have a lower speed rating of 120 miles per hour instead of 160 plus. So they have lowered the speed, top speed for the non-performance, which is all of the new ones at the moment. Even though the 18-inch tire is the same as the outgoing 18-inch tire, at least as far as speed rating, if not the exact same tire, they didn't have a higher speed rating on like if you get the the big battery and dual motors, you're not going to go faster just because you have 18s. Like with Model X, you can tow more if you have 18s than if you have 22s. They just went 120 is enough everywhere in the world except Germany. And that was something I heard everybody. So that must have been a Tesla talking point because they all mentioned except
Germany. Yes.
Yeah.
Autobahn.
Where speed is just a suggestion. Another thing of interest, along with those tires, is a new suite of components for suspension. Yes. They've replaced the bushings. They've replaced the front components as well. I'm wondering if they fixed the upper control arm issue that plagued Model 3 from the beginning.
That had to be first on their list of things to deal with.
Yeah. And one of the commenters, one of the Europeans, said something to the point of they couldn't say the outgoing car had dog crap suspension, but they're saying this one is new and better.
Right. Yes. That would be bad marketing. They already have enough Osborne problems with. Well, we haven't really talked about it yet, but this is not available in the U.S. yet.
Or UK. That's right. North America is not getting this car anytime soon. They the thought is maybe early into the new year. So that might be an Osborne effect somewhat, because anyone that knows anything about the car has got to be saying, well, I don't want to pick up a Model 3 now because I'm getting the older car. If I could wait until the beginning of the year, I could get myself the new one.
Unless they like stocks, or two, they might be benefiting from the ability to use the tax credit, because it's not a guarantee that the new car will qualify for the tax credit, because every year it gets stricter for the requirements. So they might be on the ninth edge right now. And so that might push the new car over the edge, which would be another good reason to not move it just yet, because if it does push it over, you want to get as many people at the lower price as possible. The other thing that goes into that my speculation is that, as we've seen in the past, as soon as they get their EPA certificate, they launch the car. So maybe they don't have the certificate for this car. And so what they're going to do is, as soon as that is released, that will just be their 2024 going on out. And then that way in America, North America, Canada, Mexico, US, you'll understand that if you see a 24, it's going to be the new car. If you see a 23, it's got the bubble nose.
That's not be bubble nose. Like, I would say it.
We're with you until that. Don't be hurling those.
I know I own a Legacy Model 3 now, Casey, but come on, bubble nose is a bit harsh.
Baby. Welcome to Legacy Land.
Oh my goodness! But that's kind of interesting that they decided they're going to launch it in Europe first. It's going to be available in October for order.
Interesting that they didn't even launch it in China first.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They chose. Maybe that's the reason they chose Norway as the first launch point, not just time zones. They decided that Norway has been a huge supporter of Tesla, and it's an honor for them to start receiving those cars first. So
I keep hearing Will Smith say, "Norway, Norway."
Yeah, Will's gonna have to make another commercial now. But it's interesting that these cars, obviously for Norway, are going to be made in China. So why would they not launch them in China first? It could be that they can't keep up with the demand that could be there initially. Obviously, they're going to scale this out. Obviously, they're going to have a little bit of a different production line and people getting used to their jobs and starting to roll these cars out. And over time, they need a little time to ramp up. So that could be part of the reason as well.
Did I say Will Smith? I meant Will Ferrell. I hope I said the right Will.
Yeah, you said
anyway, you guys know who I meant.
So that actually that tracks, because remember in both Fremont and China, they only moved over one line for a part-time to make Highlands, and then they would switch it back. So maybe they didn't have enough to support any other market, but the ones that are coming out, because they are all the ones that are listed are all smaller markets.
Yeah.
So then now when they do their next switchover, then that might be when it starts to go, at least from Giga Shanghai for all their markets, and then however long Fremont takes to do whatever they're doing.
It is going to be interesting to see if numbers take a hit for Model 3, Model Y category over the next quarter, or if they do not. Obviously, Tesla is offering some great discounts for the current Model 3, and a lot of people are taking that. And of course, with the as you mentioned, the tax incentive maybe not being available next year in a full amount, those are other factors that are pushing people to buy or not buy. Yeah. So
if you like stocks, order it now and get it out of the way, because time is tick-tock, baby, tick-tock.
Yep.
Yeah, and one thing about the stocks, the stockless car, remember in the S and the X, the secondary system to change the gears, I believe, is down in the console, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But not here. Yeah. They put it up by the hazard button, apparently.
Yeah.
So there are now forward and reverse park up above your head in the center of the roof liner. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if someone's
MCU, or it goes on its own, and all of a sudden there's just lights up above.
If you don't like that, there's the someone has made those sexy buttons where you can program them to do various things. I wonder if you could, if someone will come out with something that you can pop into the center console there that looks like it was built in, that has the gear selections on it.
Maybe.
I'm sure that's the nice thing about aftermarket. There's going to be lots of things, and now with this new vehicle, there's going to be a whole lot of new aftermarket things for it, especially since Tesla looked at a bunch of the things that were being done aftermarket and said, hey, let's just put them in as standard. Yes. So they've kind of opened up new opportunities. Now they have to get creative.
Did we mention the light bar, speaking of aftermarket?
That's right.
Oh, we got to talk about that. That's one of my favorite features.
So just like in Patrick's background, there's now a light bar in the car, but it runs horizontally instead of vertically.
Only one car at a time at the moment.
And it's integrated all the way from the back seats, the back of the back door, up through the front door, across the dash, and then back the other side. So you've got this continual light bar that, of course, is programmable from the infotainment screen, where you can select different colors. And I would hope some sort of different animation abilities that you could, set it on, maybe the mode that it changes colors every 5 minutes or something, like just some rudimentary easy things to allow you to change colors and not have to pick a color every time.
Maybe they'll come with a Christmas update, because right now it's static.
They've got to do stuff like when you go into romance mode, it's got to have a nice fire glow, and they're going to play those games.
Foggy in the windows, but also.
Hey, baby.
It does. Like if you go back to the launch, they made the windows foggy on purpose. But the other thing to look at that would be cool with that is like, say you got like a blowout, like maybe that whole thing, you turn that alert orange or amber or whatever the color the tire symbol is. That would be a good change right there.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, you're in turtle mode. Well, turtle mode's yellow too, but like something that would be red. Boom, red.
Right. So I mean, like I've a couple times in the years I've had Teslas. When you go to plug it in, I haven't quite got it seated properly, and the ring around it'll go orange. But if you didn't notice that, and then the whole car lit up orange as you're walking away, you might notice, why is it orange? Especially if it's dark.
The hands on wheel, the whole thing could pulse maybe.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It's especially annoying when you get that blue flash on the screen, but I'm watching the road. I'm not looking at the screen because I'm driving. And then it says, oh, you didn't, then it beeps to say you didn't notice me telling you to touch the wheel. I am touching the wheel, just not with enough force to torque it. And I'm also not paying attention to the screen because I'm driving. So if it did that little flash, I don't know if you want that flashing while you're driving, but maybe they could do something subtle to
catch you out of the corner of your eye.
Right. Yes. Something subtle. I don't know if you can if it's even on while you're driving. I think.
Yes.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you can pick any color, so that's a bold choice.
Yeah. The NSTSA or whatever. There's going to be another investigation. Tesla light bar.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They're not the first to do this either, so hopefully they can at least point and say Hyundai did it and Ford did it.
Another thing with the
coming down on the whole market.
Another thing with the Dash is that the HVAC system has been improved. The actual ports, the band that's crossed is a little bit wider to support more airflow out of it. And of course, you now have controls that you can turn off the HVAC on the one side, the passenger side, if you don't want it on, because there's only a single occupant driving. So another way to customize the HVAC system. So lots and lots of exciting changes.
I think I already have that in the Y that we have, because I just went to the store with my wife. She got out, and her side turned off. My side stayed on.
Yep, you may already have it in the Y, possibly.
What's that?
It lets you do it while she's in the seat. They seem to suggest it from Tesla.
No, she got out, and then the air shut off on her side.
But they're like, oh, if you have somebody who doesn't like the air blowing in their face, like maybe it's like you can do feet only or something. There's something new about that. It might only be new to Model 3, not to Model Y.
I see. So it might be more than just shutting off when they're not there. Okay, cool.
And the 3 may do the shutting off when you're not there, because mine does that, and it's legacy.
Okay. I see. Right. So yeah, this is more advanced. Okay, I got it.
Possibly, it could be just Tesla marketing, because they say stuff, and then their proprietor says stuff all the time.
Another thing of interest that has come up time and time again is about the extra cameras. We talked about the possibility of a front bumper camera. Now, here's the strange thing: in some of the renders that were shown when the Highland launched, Australia being one of the sites, the renders of the car itself distinctly did show that there was a front camera under the front bumper in that air intake area at the center of the car,
where the radar used to be on the AP1 cars.
Right.
Well, the AP1 cars with the gut mouth.
But then what happened after 2 days was that the image was changed, and now the camera is not there. So this is kind of interesting. We saw that when the Y was released, Patrick's Y, for example, it does not have a front camera. Correct. And in the renders now, it's showing that the Model 3 Highland does not have a front camera. So I'm not sure what's going on here. This could have been a last moment change.
Have had it.
Cybertrucks have always had it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this is kind of weird. Not sure how this is going to. Is there going to be camera? Is the camera not required for the Y and the 3? Not sure, but obviously Tesla at one point was going to do it, and at this point they're not willing to do it. So, not sure what really happened.
Maybe they're waiting to see how it plays out on Cybertruck before they spread it out. Because you can save $40 a car from not putting in that camera, just for the camera, let alone wiring and. Watch, they all have the wiring there.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that would be cool if when at some point they say, oh, there's a camera and all hardware 4 cars can do a retrofit and get that. That'd be awesome. Because one of the features I've been asking for is the bird's eye view, and you have to have a front camera to be able to do that. So
bird's eye view and the blind spot, because if you don't have ultrasonic sensors, there is the possibility to surprise the car with something that it can't see right in front of the nose.
Right. Yeah. Now you can see it as you approach, but then if you turn it off and something happens when it can't see there,
close the garage door and then open the garage door. You don't even have to turn the car off. It just looks really blind. Now there's a tire in front of your car.
Right. Yeah. So I really hope that there is a front camera, and they're just when it's launched in the U.S., we'll see that it does have it and that there's a retrofit. That'd be awesome.
I gotta believe that as the car gets launched, even the test cars that have been out there, like Car Wow, got access to the car fully charged got access to it.
Mm-hmm.
They were actually taking it for road drives and comparing it to others. But it's kind of strange. This front camera is perplexing as to why it's there and it's not there, and it may be there and it's there in a render and it's gone in a render. It's kind of interesting, but hopefully we'll get some more light on it as they start to roll out in Europe. Another piece of interesting news, we'll move right over to the Cybertruck, is that does anyone else have anything more about the Highland that they want to talk about?
Vehicles that have a front camera.
I think we covered it.
Okay, then on to the Cybertruck. There were a few photos taken of the Cybertruck recently that both had the frunk open, the insert in and the insert out. I'm not sure why that was, but of course, the drone army was happy to take pictures whenever the frunk opens. And let's do a share photo here. Boom, share. And there, some shots. And this was such a clear shot that you actually had access to see different parts and where they're made and serial numbers and QR codes, all readable. Of course, this plug setup in the middle is not part of the truck. It's some
on the label, you can see that it's a dual motor truck.
That's the thing that we wanted to mention. Yeah.
In the center of the frunk there, you can see an EcoFlow Delta 2. I have my home powered by EcoFlow Delta Pros when we run out of power. And so it's a very familiar device. But above that is what would be a 16-volt lithium-ion battery on a Model Y or a Palladium car. However, it's probably 48 volts on Cybertruck, given that it's 48.
Yep.
Unless they're putting a booster somewhere else in the car, which seems inefficient. And it tracks when you look at how thin all those wires are. They probably are all 48 volts. Compare that with what you see on a regular car battery and wiring. That they are like spaghetti versus the big honkers that you have on regular cars.
Yeah, you're not going to have that bundle of wires there and a big red clamp in the final version. They're definitely doing something here.
Stuff on the right. Yeah, in fact, the stuff on the right is closer to the size of a traditional car cable than stuff on the left, which is
another view that they saw was the super bottle was version 2.
Yeah,
so definitely. Yeah. You've got a much bigger vehicle. You're going to need a bigger super bottle, most likely, in order to move more fluid around.
Yeah.
And there was a couple shots on the inside. And of course, you can't see it in this photo, but right here where the center console is, there was a film crew that was filming a commercial, it looked like, for the Cybertruck. And cool. The person that was sitting in this seat here was also filming with their regular camera and caught there was a screen back here as well. So it looks like cool. Cybertruck will get that second screen in the back seat as well, which is no surprise.
Weird.
That was weird. Okay. We're back.
We're back.
And then all of a sudden reset. The seats are perforated.
That's right. Yeah, you can see the perforation.
So they're probably cool. Because if they're not cool, then the Model 3 is. Heads will roll.
And a shot of the front. Where
I like the way the cup holders are even cyber.
They're squared off, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I'm curious where the override's going to be, because it's not on the phone charger like on the Model Palladiums. And you can't put it directly above the screen because there's nothing there but glass. Like on the Model X.
Right.
Interesting.
And one more shot from a different feed. Let me get the share going again. Bingo, bongo, share. And there it is with the insert in place. So it gives you a better aspect view of the frunk as it will sit to a normal person looking at it without them having to take it apart.
And more jumper cables. And you know, all the people whining about how is it smaller than they expected and blah, blah, blah. It's still bigger than the biggest frunk that Tesla has on sale in the Model X.
Really? So that one's bigger than the X's frunk?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't see any outlets. That would have been a nice
That was the part that got me. I'm hoping that just means that all the outlets are in the vault, which was probably more useful anyway. But it would.
I agree. I agree. The Ford Lightning with a few outlets in here is a great idea.
It would be nice.
It's extra cost. I get that, but it's extra versatility as well.
Right. At least as an option.
For sure. And because the bodywork moves, the headlights and turn signals are located underneath the frunk.
Right.
Not on it, where the light bar is. Derek said looks like a bench seat. Where? Inside the frunk?
When you have so you can sit in the frunk.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, tailgating. Frunk gating.
Front gating. Exactly. Next, we're going to touch upon some price drops, and Patrick's got the information on that.
That is right. Okay, I'll go quick. We're late in the show here. So Tesla drops the price of FSD in Canada and the US from Drive Tesla Canada by Darren John. In the US, FSD beta was $15K. Now it's only $12K. And in Canada, the price went from $19,500 to $16,000. So there's really two parts to this story. There's this price drop on FSD, and then there's some about the S and X. But this is the part that I thought was interesting. So why would Tesla drop the price of FSD?
It's free money,
especially, yeah, when we've been told it's only going to go up, right?
Right. Yeah, that's right.
And we've heard that V12 is coming soon, and it's not going to be beta. So my speculation is that today when somebody buys FSD, it has to go in embargo. They don't get all of the money. They have to do revenue recognition, so they can only recognize a portion of it relevant to the how much functionality they have versus what they've promised. So I don't know exactly how much is that they get to recognize, but they have about $3 billion that they have not been able to recognize on hold because it's not fully functional. So when V12 comes out, they will be able to recognize a chunk of that past revenue. And that also means that for new orders, they'll be able to recognize a higher percentage of that versus what they have in the past. So also, just doing a little bit of math, 15K, say they're able to recognize half of it today, that's $7,500. Well, if $12,000, say they're able to recognize 60%, that's $7,200, nearly the same amount, and it's going to have a significantly higher take rate, which means you can get more people buying it. And if you can recognize nearly the same amount of revenue, wouldn't you want to have 10, 20% more? Sure. So that's how the calculus I think they used to get here. But again, I started this with that's all just speculation. But I thought it was an interesting discussion.
Also, for fact, if they purchase FSD versus renting it, they get to recognize more revenue right up front.
Right.
Yeah, not over
12,000 or 15,000 versus 200.
Right.
Everybody.
Yeah. Even if it's half or 60% or whatever, that's still several thousand compared to a couple $100 payment.
Especially after they cancel after the first month.
It seems that some of Elon's lines in the sand have moved because just before this, Tesla got Patrick to buy a brand new car because he can now transfer FSD in this quarter. So
he still made out like a bandit.
That was
I did.
That was definitely a line in the sand that was out there previously. And of course, this FSD charge always going up, never coming back, is another thing that changed. So Tesla seems to have the ability or the need to see what's how vehicles are being sold, what's being taken in, what inventory is available, and they're making judgment calls and pricing and feature changes based on that. And we've seen it happen more and more. These things are happening on a regular basis. The other part of the price drop, of course, was the S and the X dropped in price. Right. And a vehicle that the S had introduced with a standard range just 3 weeks ago or 2.5 weeks ago is now gone. It's something that they looked at. Okay, let's lower the price on the S. Let's software lock the battery to a little bit less. Let's see what the uptake is. They obviously looked at it and said, maybe just like Casey's case when they were introducing the 40 Model S, it's just not worth it. Not enough people are taking it. Therefore, the program is deemed a failure and they're moving on with something new.
Oh, that's funny, because I took it as the other way. When they did this, we said this is going to be short-lived. They're doing a market test, and they want to see if lowering the price increases the take rate to see if they want to go forward with some bigger plan to lower the price on everything. So you're saying they canceled it because of failure, and I'm thinking that they canceled it because it was a success that got them the increase in sales they wanted, so then they could move forward with lowering this big price reduction that they did.
That is interesting. I did not see that side of the coin at all.
And of course, neither of us know, right?
We're speculating on both sides of this coin.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that, and no other automaker, as far as I know, does this kind of examination on real numbers that are probably 24 hours old. It's something that Tesla is afforded because of the data network they operate and control, and of course that they are direct to customer, so they know exactly what is on the lot, what is leaving the lot, and what is arriving on the lot at any given time. So it's something that affords them this ability.
The one thing we don't know about this particular price drop is what happens to the folks who ordered the Palladium standard ranges, because they're 3.5 weeks isn't enough time to deliver any S's or X's standard to customers. So are they going to get a free upgrade? Or are they going to have to pay $10,000 to do upgrade? Or
are they still going to get what they ordered? It's just coming through the pipeline, and they did have them. So yeah,
you think they would software lock like 800 cars? That's it?
Would they still do it? Yeah. And then the other thing is would they just say, hey, yeah, we canceled your order. You're going to have to move up or move down. But hey, it's the same price. You want to just move it? Because we've seen them kind of draw this hard line sometimes when they change stuff in the past.
Yeah, there's been different. Sometimes there's an incentive, and sometimes there's no incentive.
Other times there's a screw you, buddy.
Yeah. So I don't know. Just like what happened with you, Casey, you're about ready to order that software locked Model S, and all of a sudden they said, "We're done. That's it. We're not doing it." So, yeah, it's kind of interesting that this is the way it is, and it has been for a while, and it seems to be kind of increasing. But then again, the car volumes are increasing, and their markets are increasing. So it kind of makes sense on that level as well.
While we're on that price, not this particular, but on the two price drops, the other thing to look at is the FSD price drop affects the whole fleet. So anybody who has a 8-year-old car, or not 8-year-old, a 5 or 6-year-old car like mine that was on the edge of AP2 or hardware 3, they can get it hardware 3. And those are people who might not have even been in the market for buying anything from Tesla anytime soon. And now that's another used Honda Civic bump in the arm for them.
Yeah. Also, the thing that is kind of interesting in the U.S. for this price drop is that now the S and some X models do qualify for the tax credit because it dropped into that range.
They're all under $100,000 US now, which hasn't happened a lot in the past.
Yeah.
Right, but the cutoff for the SUVs is 80,000.
Yes.
Right. So the Model S does not qualify because it's a sedan, but the X certainly does.
Yep. The base X, and then depending on how they calculate it in your state, the X Plaid might, now that it's under $100,000 and the base is 80. The reason I say it that way is because it's like on the Model 3, it was kind of weird. Certain things did qualify, even though they added to the price and certain other things like changing the interior color would kick you out of the program. So,
yeah.
Rules have to be complicated. Of course they do.
Tax rules? Hell yeah.
That's a requirement. Absolutely.
Too simple. People might understand this. They wouldn't have to pay professionals.
Gotta keep CPAs and working. That's the way it is.
If the pros can understand,
it's a jobs program.
Exactly. Why don't we all just have a flat tax and everyone knows it is? It's just a percentage. That's it. I know what my tax is. No, that can't happen.
Percentage plus like maybe
unemployment would shoot up so much.
Yeah. Exactly.
Below the poverty line, so that you can still.
Well, let's begin the wrap up. I know we can talk about this stuff all night, but we want to keep to about an hour. Certainly, if you haven't already, please press that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up on the video. That would be much appreciated. And of course, if you'd like to keep up on news throughout the week, follow us on our Twitter feed and our Facebook feed at The Tesla Life and The Tesla Life #1 on Facebook. So please do that. With that, Casey, any shout outs?
You can catch me on Sunday at 1:10 p.m. Eastern over at youtube.com/Casey Green. That's KACEYGREEN.
Very good.
And Patrick.
Hello. I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. And we've got some National Drive Electric Week events coming up. So go check that out. Find one in your area. There's a whole lot of groups that are doing National Electric Week stuff, so go and enjoy one of those. Talk to folks that have EVs, have driven EVs, have experience with them. If you're curious how it fits into their life and what experiences they've had, you can go talk to real people, not just some ad or sales or whatever. So yeah, check that out. And then I blog at carswithcords.net, and I just wrote something that came from a discussion that Casey and I had on Sunday on his show, where I was talking about what is eco-friendly as I am, solar panels, batteries, electric. I don't really like the term environmentalist, and trying to figure out why that was. So that was an interesting discussion that I've written about recently. So yeah, check it out, carswithcords.net. Thanks.
Fantastic.
And what do you do with there?
Oh, yeah.
In general,
that's right. Yeah. I blog about a future free from fossil fuels.
Oh, we couldn't forget that. We could not forget that.
Yeah. Where we
were about to forget it.
Things.
That's right. That's right. But with that, we'll bid you a good night or a good evening whenever you're watching. And thanks very much. Join us next week, where together we'll find out what's happening in the Tesla life.
Stay positive, test negative.
Have a great week.